Ahoura, please welcome on stage.
Right, nice. So, does everyone hear me correctly? Nice. So this talk is going to be more like a public epistemological talk. I'm gonna make a case how labels are important now and how it's like very important for the defense for the future of decentralized and very complex systems that we're going to have. And but let's start first from the simple parts in the beginning, right? Well, labels are human need, and we've been using them all the time. It's even in our language. Like, it's a mixture of a bunch of labels together that makes us understand each other. So, like, let's just suppose you go in the shop and you want to buy a food that you didn't make, that you didn't cook, and the first thing you might want to look at is the nutritional label on it. Or you're going to use a drug that you don't know if there is any complications with your other things that you take. Or if you like want to buy an electrical appliance and it's like you want to know, oh, okay, is the short-term choice that I'm going to make worth the long-term effects of it? And of course, on the misinformation and the info side of things right now, we use these community notes or community labels to mitigate those risks of misinformation, right? So here, the insight is that as systems become more and more complex, labels are how we delegate understanding. They are shortcuts for trust, risk, and value. So the same pattern also like emerges in tech. So it's not just bound to the physical realm of things. Of course, one of the biggest example of these open label systems that we created in Web 2 and now also on Web 3 is the SPDX, Linux Foundation-led project, which tracks software package and data and licensing, and also on the web security side of things, the certificate transparency movement, which is basically open logs to detect fraudulent SSL certificates. It's a bunch of very big companies like Google, Facebook, DigiCert, and Cloudflare all together trying to make this work. Yeah, so what do they have all in, like what all these tie together is that they create a shared map of what's real, what's safe, and who vouches for what. It's a fundamental response to an increasingly opaque world. When we can't see every part, we agree on a way to label the parts we need to understand. So let's come back to crypto, right? So it's going pretty crazy these days, and as crypto UX keeps getting better, labeling needs to get also faster and more robust, right? One of the examples of the recent innovation that happened and made a lot of things very more easier to use was the EIP 7702. And this is the research from very recent research from Wintermute that found that 97% of delegations into these EIP 7702 smart contracts are linked to the same drainer code, and that was kind of catastrophic to realize. I mean, there wasn't that much of a loss that happened during this, but still very concerning. And wouldn't it be very good if we already could have a shared language that we could instantaneously say, hey, we identified these contracts, these are the labels, like the crime enjoyer, you can see that, it's like very cool name too. Crime enjoyer contracts that need to be identified as fast as possible, and whoever is like connected to this open source label pool then can instantly get the information that is needed to stop the harm of getting more. So there was also another issue, like we at growthepie, we were trying to like increase some clarity into how block space of different layer 2s and Ethereum is being used. So we needed a lot of labels. We needed to know what are these smart contracts being used for and what are they doing. So we were doing this, we realized a bunch of things that were missing. So there was no reliable or accurate sources of labels. And even if there was, and there was like high quality ones, they were paywalled. And for a small open source company, it's like very hard to get by. And a lot of these efforts, like the labeling efforts, also are siloed, and because everyone also is doing the same thing, it becomes redundant effort by anyone who needs these labels. And there's no common language or definition how these labels should look like or should be. So one of the things that we came up with was basically the Open Labels Initiative, where we decided, okay, so we need to speak the same language, right? And it makes us easier to sync. It makes it easier to sync with different databases. We make a cool standard that we can like collaborate together. Maybe like you want to add a new word to the language, come to our developer talks. Let's see what we can do. And we need a clear data model and rules as explicit and flexible as possible. So that was what we had in mind with the data model. And what we did was basically we deployed EAS, Ethereum Attestation Services schema with all the things that we all discussed in the community, and we created this model and we published it on chain. So now that everything is like the language level is done, we started putting all of the labels that we had and like some other partners to this label pool to gather all of these data points publicly accessible. And these, like, be reminded that these are raw labels, so you cannot definitely like trust them blindly, of course. And like they are put off-chain or on-chain, and they are accessible for everyone. And then there's this last layer, which is the label confidence, so the quality of these things. So this is where like other projects, other curators come like and say, hey, I actually have a good source for these labels. Like they try to give this like trust layer that how did they reach these labels and how did they reach this like usage categories or whatever that tag ID or that thing that we connected to these addresses was. And we created like a level of trust here. So what can we trust more? So this is what we came up with in the Open Labels Initiative. And so this is not only about like Ethereum Web3. It's about any decentralized, like we are going towards a very decentralized, very complex, like we're building these systems. And like just for an example, think about, okay, these AI agents that are going to become autonomous on chain, and how can we make sure that they are, they know what they are, they know what they're interacting with when there's the code is so complex, and we ourselves don't even know if they're risky or not. So open labeling here becomes this epistemic defense layer of these complex systems. When no one has a full map, when total understanding is impossible, then we must label together. And we should create this language, like the kind of things that we teach our children. Hey, this is the labels that you need to go out in the world and make something out of it. So this is how we created the Open Labels Initiative. It's just began. It's like, of course, it's nowhere close to its end. And it's just in the beginning. We need we need everyone to come by and like contribute to this language that we are creating, to this standard that we are creating, from all sorts of people who are interested in labels or even interested in the future of complex and decentralized system to build this standard. So just as a closing statement, we are not here to just build faster and better system. We have to also make sure that they are smarter and safer. And for us to be able to do that, we have to teach our system to know what they are, and we teach them together how that works. And so by that, let's accelerate our defense. Thank you very much.